Our friend Ken's here from the Sheriff's Office and CrimeStoppers. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Riley. How are you?
Doing very well. How's everything going?
Things are great, thank you.
Lots of stuff went on. As I texted you last night saying, too bad it had been so quiet over the holiday break. Gosh, what will we talk about when you come in during the segment today? All of that said, tongue firmly planted in cheek, it was too busy during the holiday break.
It really was, Riley. It was for law enforcement, the men and women of the Rockford Police Department, the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department, and the surrounding law enforcement agencies. Unfortunately, it was a very busy time over the holidays. And just to focus on a few of the incidents that are simply heartbreaking and tragic.
That people are still buzzing about from the weekend.
December 27th would have been last Tuesday night, 10:15 p.m., a young man, a boy really, 15-year-old Levante Allen, a sophomore at Auburn High School, was shot to death while inside of a car by the occupants of another car. This was at Central and Preston on Rockford's southwest side. A drive-by incident. Levante Allen was driven to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. At this point, there are no arrests. Rockford police asking for your help in solving this crime. And just reading about this young man and the tributes that came out, 15-year-old kid, he had aspirations of going to college, being a college athlete. I know he played basketball for the sophomore team at Auburn, and I believe he was also a member of the sophomore football team at Auburn. And I saw some quotes from the head football coach at Auburn, Dan Apino, who said this young man was a good kid. And just the Auburn high school community is in a state of mourning. And just imagine, Riley, being a high school student and being on break and reading about one of your classmates being shot to death.
No. And as you and I have talked about before, that sort of thing is so far removed from things that you and I would have heard about, read about when we were in school.
Absolutely.
I mean, people passed and there were car accidents and there were sickness and there were other things. But, the driving by and emptying a mag into someone's car that was as foreign as something happening in another galaxy to us.
2 hours later, early on Wednesday morning, December 28th, in a crime that really has stunned this community, 16-year-old Rebecca Finkenhofer, a Harlem High School sophomore, was stabbed to death and shot, according to police, by a guy named Michael Murnack, a 36-year-old man. This happened at Finkenhofer's apartment on Minns Drive up in McChesney Park. Police say Murnack also shot the young girl's grandmother, 63-year-old Cheryl Puckett, inside the apartment. Police say Michael Murnack had a relationship with Rebecca Finkenhofer's mother. The mother, according to authorities, ended the relationship a couple of months ago and, in fact, had an order of protection against Michael Murnack. Police say Winnebago County Sheriff's deputies responded to a disturbance at the apartment early last Wednesday when, according to police, they confronted Michael Murnack, who was armed. He, police say, refused to comply with police officers' orders to drop his weapon when they opened fire, and they shot him. He is still in the hospital. Last we heard, he was in critical condition. He was initially charged on a warrant of aggravated assault, and should he survive, he will face additional charges.
There'll be a host of charges for that one, as well there should be.
This is the grandmother who was shot in the face, by the way, is improving, and Murnack, as we mentioned, it remains in critical condition. The 16-year-old girl, Rebecca, as I mentioned, was a sophomore at Harlem High School, and just an unspeakable tragedy.
Yeah, just an absolute horrible, horrible story. And, as you talk about something that has shocked the community, yeah, Yeah, that's a very fair assessment of that. And some of the other things that went on as well just simply added to the shock of the last few days.
There was a memorial for Rebecca last night, and just reading about her, apparently she was a tomboy. She liked to work on cars with her dad.
Awesome.
And it's just hard to put into words, Riley, because every so often there are crimes that occur that simply jolt you.
Yes.
And you have a daughter, and I have a couple of daughters, and just the thought of somebody harming an innocent young girl is it's just beyond the realm of understanding.
Yeah, and you go, well, why would someone do? Yeah, I don't think you can't figure out why someone behaves in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I know I couldn't. How do you put two and two together on that one?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can hope is that. The things to hope for at this point are kind of out the window. That's just a horrible story.
And because Winnebago County Sheriff's Police used deadly force in this incident, the Winnebago Boone County Integrity Task Force has been called in to investigate, to review the two officers' use of deadly force. I know Winnebago County Sheriff Gary Caruana has publicly expressed support for the officers' use of deadly force. So we will see what transpires from the investigation. But whenever a police officer fires his weapon or her weapon, the Integrity Task Force just evaluates the decision to do so.
Yeah, and I don't know how all of this stuff is going to shake out. I would assume that it's going to come back that this was a clean shoot.
And I do want to express support for the officers who were put in a position to use that. I mean, that has to be a traumatic event in itself. And so just support goes out to the two officers involved in this incident. As always. Right. Riley, then over the weekend, there was a shooting. Actually, 4 people were shot at the Cliff Breakers Riverside Hotel and Conference Center. The fatal shooting victim is identified as Joshua Jamerson, 34 years old. Jamerson and the other 3 victims were shot about 3:30 a.m. On January 1st when, according to police, a large fight broke out in a hallway at the hotel at 700 West Riverside Boulevard. This marks Rockford's first homicide of the year. It happened literally like 5.5 hours into the new year, actually 3.5 hours into the new year. One of the 3 shooting victims, whose name was not released, was critically wounded and is being treated at a Rockford hospital, according to Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea. The 2 other shooting victims, both males, arrived at a hospital in a private vehicle and were treated for gunshot wounds that were non-life-threatening. The others who were wounded are ages 27, 29, and 34. So this incident is under investigation as well. Again, a large fight broke out in the hallway at Cliff Breakers at 3:30 in the morning on January 1st, and a 34-year-old man was shot to death.
But, once again, and I saw one of the officers quoted over the weekend on local TV, basically saying, what, I don't know what it is that all of a sudden words are exchanged, and then from words being exchanged, guns come out. Keep it at words. Try not to even get it going in that direction, but what the mentality is where, all right, we've exchanged words now, we got to go to the next level, I'm pulling my gun. Mm-hmm. Just, and for anybody else who had to have been staying there, I was going to say there probably wasn't a lot of traffic in the parking lot at that particular time, but you're staying in the hotel, you got to realize something's going on.
And this is troubling because a similar incident happened back in October at the Clock Tower Resort, which is now closed down.
Right.
Where one person was shot to death following a party, a large gathering of people, and where some of the party goers or event goers were armed and chose to act unlawfully
and to escalate a situation way beyond what anything should have been escalated to. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, okay, great.
And just overnight, Riley, and I'll read from Georgette Braun of the Rockford Register-Star reporting, Rockford police say 5 homes were hit by gunfire Monday night and early this morning. No one was injured, thankfully. On Monday at 7:30 p.m., 2 houses and a garage in the 2300 block of 23rd Street were struck by gunfire. Witnesses say a silver and black small car fled the scene. About 2:20 a.m. today, police responded to a call for shots fired and a residence being struck by gunfire in the 1000 block of Lincoln Avenue. Officers located several spent shell casings in the street and that the residence had been hit several times. About 2:20 a.m., police were called to a residence in the 700 block of Illinois Avenue for shots fired and a residence being struck. Police found several spent shell casings in the street and that the residence had been struck several times by gunfire. And about 2:40 this morning, Riley, police responded to a call for shots fired and a house being struck by gunfire in the 2700 block of Pryal Avenue. Police discovered several shell casings in the street and discovered the residence had been struck several times by gunfire. The victims were unable to provide any suspect information. Anyone with information about these incidents is asked to call Rockford Police, 779-500-6555, or CrimeStoppers at 815-963-7867. So thankfully, no injuries, but this type of behavior obviously is unacceptable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I noticed one thing you had in the bottom of your stack there that I noticed on my way into work this morning.
Oh, right.
I saw, the story had happened, but I got to have a look at the damage firsthand this morning at Alpine and Guilford.
Yes, this happened, a single vehicle crash, a rollover crash about 4:40 in the morning yesterday at Guilford and Alpine, literally within walking distance of the radio station here.
Yep.
A Winnebago County Sheriff's deputy arrived on scene first and saw the vehicle fully engulfed in flames. Rockford Fire Department extinguished the fire and found the only occupant pinned inside. Preliminary police findings show the vehicle was headed west on Guilford, crashed through the intersection at Alpine, crossed the intersection at Alpine and struck a traffic signal and a brick retaining wall. And the damage is...
Sienna on Brendanwood.
Right.
Yep.
The vehicle then rolled onto its driver's side. Winnebago County Coroner Bill Hintz said that due to the extent of the damage from the collision, we do not know the identity of the driver yet. An autopsy is pending. Toxicology tests will be available in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's quite a mess there that I saw. And single car, right? Single car accident?
Correct.
Okay.
And I don't know if excessive speed was involved, if alcohol was involved, but...
fatigue. It could be any number of things at that particular hour of the morning, too.
And the whole stretch of North Alpine was shut down, for several hours. It finally reopened yesterday morning. I want to say about 11 o'clock in the morning.
All right.
And Riley, it's a new year, and we've just come off the holidays. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I really do. It's just it's been a very tragic stretch of several days for law enforcement and for emergency responders, and just keep them in mind. This is the type of stuff that unfortunately they investigate on a regular basis in Rockford, Illinois.
And we're lucky to have them here to do it.
We are lucky to have them, and prayers to the family members of the people who were killed. And prayers and support to the emergency responders who investigate tragedies like this on a far too frequent basis.
Yeah, and especially those who are out on a holiday while you're home with your family. Right. They're out looking into things like this.
Right.
Ken, always good to see you. For people who have stuff for Crime Stoppers, how do they get in touch?
Thank you for asking. Give us a call at 815-963-7867 or call us toll-free at 888-769-STOP.
Terrific. Good to see you, Ken. Thank you.
Riley, thank you for your time as always.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.